All right, guys, my name is Chris Carruthers. I'm here with my lender, Paul. And I mean, I don't know what to name this podcast yet, but we're going to start it off by helping our first-time home buyers out because I've been getting a lot of crazy statements online, and today's the day we get to pretty much, I picked all those statements, all those questions I've been asked in all my comments, and I got my lender here, so we're going to ask them away and see what it is exactly you need as a first-time home buyer to purchase your first house. Crazy things I've seen on my in my comment section talking about you need over six figures to buy a house. You need to have $50,000 saved up. You need to have over 800
down.
20% down. You need to have an 800 credit score and all that. And we're going to see today. We're going to talk to our lender. We're going to see if that's actually true. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have some type of knowledge on where it is you need to start to buy your first home. So Paul, how you doing, man? Want to introduce yourself?
Doing well, brother. Doing well. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Yeah.
So I guess if we want to debunk MFA, I think you and I were talking before we started, and it is probably one of the biggest deals because everybody thinks, well, you just even thought it, like, well, isn't the government losing so much money on this? Mm-hmm. They are. It's low income. Yeah.
Yeah, like you and I, we know exactly what the MFA is, but to our audience, everyone out there, the statement I always get is usually in my comment section, I'll see like some of the top comments being, the New Mexico MFA is such a scam. It's full of hidden fees and is there just to trap first-time home buyers into never being able to get out of the house when they need to get out of the house when it's time to sell. Like, is that true? Like, what's going on there?
So the common misconception, I think, is that it's very similar to a VA loan, meaning that you're at 100% financing. So that's the only downside to an MFA loan, but it's also getting people into a home with no money down because you're buying the house with no money down. So the government's borrowing you $10,000 at 0% interest, but they're still lending it to you. It's still a borrowed, pay back. You have to pay it back. So because let's say 2 years down the road, you're only paying $50 a month. In 2 years, you've only paid $1,200. You still owe $8,800 of the 10, right? Mm-hmm. So you're at 98% loan to value 2 years down the road. So the house would have had to naturally appreciate because you haven't paid that much down. That's the same with any loan, though. If you did a conventional loan, an FHA loan, any other loan, that would be the case. The only difference is you would have put 5% of your own money down, which would have covered the 6% fees.
Okay, I hear you.
So that's why a lot of times you'll get the first-time home buyer, and that's just their lack of knowledge. Most of the time is those people just don't understand. They understand their circumstance, not necessarily the market or what's actually happening. Mm-hmm. But the other big thing, though, is you have to realize most of these people could have never bought a house. Like, I'd say 90% of our first-time home buyers that I qualify for MFA, there's no way in hell they're getting 5% down. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
They'd wait till they're 100 years old before they had a full, let's say $300,000, 15 grand. Let's say that when are they going to have 15 grand? I'd say 95% of all my MFA buyers will never have 15 grand. Not at one time.
Yeah, I mean, like even in my statements I make in my videos, I talk about getting into a house with as little as like $1,500 to like $3,000 out of pocket, and like for the audience,
that is
like
our average amount. I think most of ours don't come in with more than 25 at most, 25 at the very most.
And for a lot of people that see these videos pop up online, I'm telling you the truth. Like we've done this time and time again with plenty of people. We've gotten people in with as little as like $1,000, $1,500, $3,000, just all depending on like what your credit like and everything beyond that. But that's why I have Paul here to talk more to you guys about like what it is that you even need to be able to qualify to get into the Mexico MFA. And I also feel like too, there's a lot of first-time home buyers, they don't even know like this program exists. They still feel like it
changes so much too. So that's the problem. So like as you were saying, like I think you were leading into that program, every 6 months, MFA looks at it and they'll kind of change it. So before the 10,000, it was 15,000, but it was also different. Like there was no payment for a little while, and then there was a payment, and then it had an interest rate, and now it's 0% interest. So I think every 3 months they actually go to the government, because MFA is a government subsidized company, like a group, right? Mm-hmm. So it goes to the state for funding, and then the state gives it funding so that it gives the citizens. That's why the rate's better. That's why the money's at 0% interest. Everything's a little better because the government is subsidizing it, but they have to reapply for that every quarter, and it's based off subsidies left over from the government, and then MFA is applying to get it part of the housing program.
Got you. So I'm guessing like a question that I can already see someone asking me is going to be, if I were to get qualified for the Mexico MFA and they were to lend me the $10,000, it's not a gift, it's a lend. They're lending it to you guys. You have to pay it back. But if they lend you the $10,000, let's say the purchase price of the house is $300,000. is their loan going to be 310 or is it going to be at 290 as the final LTV? What is it going to look like on their side?
It's a good question, and you're right. That is one. I know you know the answer, but I know it's one that everyone always asks us. So it is always 300 because you can't pay more than what the house is worth, right? If the house is worth 300 and that's the total value, that's what it will be. But that's why you have a first, second, and third mortgage. So the first mortgage will be the 290. That'll be the 96.5, the FHA loan. The second mortgage will be the $10,000. That's the down payment. That payment's $52 a month because it's 0% interest over 10 years. Or over 15 years, I'm sorry. You could do it over 10 or 15. We almost always do it over 15. 15 or 30 years. We almost do it over 15 because it's either 52 or 58. So it makes way more sense to just do the 52 over 15. And then it has a third mortgage that can cover the closing cost as well. So you really we've done a few where they really come in with zero. I'd say about half of ours, they really get that money back. So I'm sure you've seen that on the CDs. When they get the CD, they'll get their earnest money back and everything because they can get that as if they in the third mortgage, if the closing cost covers that and it will reimburse them that. So that's why we'll see a lot of times where all they paid for is just the appraisal and inspections because they can get everything else back.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do you guys hear that? So usually the statements and what you're seeing online talking about how first-time home buyers are officially priced out the market, that's not true. You just need to understand and know who to talk to be able to get to programs like this, like the MFA.
I specialize like you in first-time home buyers. So I'd say about 85% of all my business does come from first-time home buyers. So for me personally, I would say that probably I initially try to qual everybody for MFA because it's the best rate. So right now you can't, I think I was telling you this the other day just to tell a borrower this because they're like, oh, I want to go with this other program with, I think, Bank of America or somebody, and they were saying about another program. There's no better program than MFA right now because the government's subsidizing it. They're losing money to give us this loan. So you can't get better than 6% right now at no points, no fees, and $10,000 towards your down payment at 0% interest. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah, the 0% interest is crazy.
And you're borrowing it at $10,000. So it really, there's nothing better currently that I know out there. There definitely could be. Sometimes there's some local products, and there truly isn't a catch. I think that's the other thing that you were saying on is there a catch of some nature? No catch I could think of. The only thing that does, like I said, that you hit on too, is that if you wait a couple years and you want to sell in 2 or 3 years, this might not be for you. But look at the way I tell my clients to look at it like a rental. Most of the time when I'm doing, and the other common misconception while we're talking about this, we can nip it right now. Everybody wants their rent and their mortgage to be exactly the same at all times. Your mortgage might go up a little bit, but that's okay even if it does go up just a little bit, because if it goes up a little bit, you're going to get a tax write-off for the interest. You know that because you're an investor. Yeah. So you get the interest, all the other stuff, plus you're gaining $10,000, $20,000 a year in appreciation. So let's say you're paying $100 more a month. Is that worth it if you're making $10,000 more in interest, plus you're getting a $15,000 write-off a year?
See, you and I, we know it's worth it, but to the majority of people who aren't fully educated, they think that they're still throwing whatever, their $1,800 a month, to the trash, but they don't realize, that's going to a savings account. That's literally your own savings that you're building up for over time. It's not money that you're giving to your landlord and never seeing again. It's money that you will eventually see again if you're willing to stay the long haul inside of that home and let the natural appreciation of that home take its course.
And you can almost always rent it out. Right now, rentals are so low. In the last 90 days, we bought 3 houses. Did I show you the one I just bought on Lepus? That's when I was telling you 827 Lepus Court. That's why I said I was confused.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
So that's the one I just bought from, that was a past client of mine who got divorced, and they had a 6%, 6.5. So even today, the rates are 6. They were at 6.5, bought the house 9 months ago. I bought the house for her, gave her $5,000 to walk away. She was only in the house 9 months. I gave her $5,000 just to walk away from the house, and I just wrapped her loan. So we kept it as an investment because I can rent it out, and I'm on that rental, I'm losing $50. It was her mortgage payment was $2,357. I rented it for $2,300.
Okay.
So I'm losing $57, but I don't care about losing $57 because why? Gaining appreciation, gaining a write-off for $5,000 and $57. It's a no-brainer. That's where I tell people when they get MFA and stuff like this is you have a really cool investment opportunity. Let's say even if you're not even sure you want to buy a house. Buy a house anyway. If you don't live in it for 6 months and you want to go back and live with your mom because you're living rent-free and rent it out, let someone else pay that mortgage for you
Yeah, I
and
like that
gain
right there.
wealth.
I like
gain
that.
wealth, man. Like I was talking to my little cousin about this. He's 21 going to college and he's still living at home with my uncle. And I'm like, dude, I'll help you buy a house. I'll pay you to buy a house.
Yeah, people don't
because
realize
it's
that.
like crazy to me that people don't understand just how much money you're losing by not sitting on the home, sitting
owning
on the
that
equity.
asset, owning that real estate is what's going to start that path towards your generational wealth, which is like what a lot of people want in their lifetime. They want to start establishing the type of wealth, but they don't realize that just owning that piece of real estate is really going to like help turn their life around in the future. It's not about, oh, you can't like afford it. If you can't afford it or you don't really want to pay the mortgage, it's okay. Like Paul said, you could go ahead and just rent out that home and still live with your parents, but still own a piece of real estate that will gradually appreciate over time, which is dope. And then on top of that, he just gave a great solution to someone who potentially only wants to buy a house and live in it for 3 years and then sell it. Like if you need to sell your home, there's plenty of people out there like Paul and myself would be more than willing to take over that loan for you and give you some money to walk away from, just so you're not having to go into foreclosure and stuff like that in the future.
She tried to sell it. She had it on the market for like 2 months, but she had to list it. You know how it is because it was only 9 months. So she had to list it really high to cover fees.
Yeah, cover like realtor costs.
So she didn't have costs.
Yeah.
So I told her, man, all day I'll buy those. All day. I got to put $5,000 in a house.
Solutions for you guys there. And I for like in order to get qualified for the Mexico MFA or anything in general, I need to have like this perfect 800 credit score. Like, is that true? Do I need to like walk into your office and have the perfect 800 score to be able to score my house, or like what's the limitations?
You already know this from experience. So we're probably one of the few that do a ton of credit repair. My company probably getting pissed off that we're doing too much credit repair because our credit bill's out the wazoo. But no, you only need for MFA, you need a 620. We lend down to 550. And most of the time, as long as your score is over 580, we'll keep it internally and we'll basically do the credit repair for you at no cost. So we do that all the time with your clients where they come in with just needing a couple items. We'll run the simulator, kind of tell them what to do, and then we'll, circle back in the month or two. So that's basically, what it is. But I tell everyone just start the journey. Like I have people call me all the time and they'll be like, our people too, hey, I got a 510 credit score. I got whatever. I'm like, cool, go ahead and apply. At this point, it's not going to hurt you. Plus, we only do soft pulls anyway. So if I'm only doing a soft pull, it's not going to hurt the credit score no matter what we do. But at least let's get the picture. Because if we don't have the picture, if you don't know where you're starting, you're not going to get to the finish line. You got to know where the beginning's at. So once we're at the beginning, we say, okay, cool, your credit score is X. Well, what about your income? What about the other things, right? I'm not just looking at their credit score, because if I only fix their credit score today and then in 6 months we try again, but their job's crap too, and they have collections and they have other things, we only killed one of the birds, with the stone. So we got to knock all the birds down with the one stone. So whenever they come and apply, we kind of give them a plan. And that's what I tell everyone that comes into us is whether you're buying in 2 years or 20, I've done this 22 years. I'm going to still be doing this for at least another 20. I'm only 41 years old. So I got a long time before Social Security kicks in. And either way, I think that, realistically, I think that, we have a long time that we're going to be doing this for. So because of that, my goal is to help buyers in the long haul. And a lot of times, especially in New Mexico, because we are one of the poorest states, we do have, worse credit. I'd say at least 50% of my applications I can't do right off the bat, where it's like every other one, I'm like, okay, cool. We got to do this, this, and this. And I grew up poor myself. You know my story where I grew up. I don't care if someone's application's terrible. I don't care if their job's a mess. Let's put a game plan together. In 3 to 6 months, let's figure out how to make this work. If anyone's serious, we'll work with them if they're serious and they want to get going. I mean, I'm doing a loan right now for an assistant manager at Taco Bell. Single mom wants to buy a house. She's buying a house. It's not a crazy big house, but it's going to be a home for her and her kids, and that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's owning the real estate. It's being able to go somewhere and then be able to call that place a home. It doesn't have to be your dream home right off the bat. You could simply start off by buying a $250,000 house in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or anywhere else, and call that your home for a while. And then as that appreciates, then you'll be able to have more income. You'll have equity to be able to pull out to go buy that bigger home that you want in the future, which is great.
I always tell everyone, you're probably not working your dream job yet, so you probably don't have your dream house yet.
Yeah.
So it's like once we all get to that spot where we're making the money we think we should make, that's probably when we're going to get the house we think we should have.
Yeah.
If you're still up and coming, then you're probably not going to be able to afford this pull or this, big thing. But like you said, that's the biggest thing I tell young families is, guys, let's just get you in, because if you're not in the position now, you're not going to be in 3 years. You got to get in, get some equity, get some skin in the game. Then you'll have something to invest in 3 to 5 years when you have that executive level job where now you're making the good money to buy the $700,000 house. That's a lot more expensive on monthly payment. And that's just a common sense thing. You know, one thing I wanted to talk about today that we haven't touched on that's been big, and I've been seeing it all over social media, and obviously you and I do a ton of social media, the FHA ADU thing. Have you been seeing that? The 203K, no payments for 12 months, all those videos have been going trendy as heck.
No, I haven't. I've seen the ADUs. I've seen a few of the ADUs popping up on my TikTok, and then seeing people like wanting to sell them for 100, 200K, and then you can actually get financing on it as if it's a home.
So that just happened in January. So I keep telling myself I'm going to do a dang training, but I've been telling you too, I've been busy as hell ever since January. So I haven't really had a time to put the training together, but it's really cool. I've only done one so far, but it's crazy cool actually how this works. So what FHA did is before FHA always did 203Ks, but you had to make payments on the loan while you're building it. Now,
okay, before we go into that, let me just talk to the audience a little bit what we're talking about. So let's say you already own a house. Would make sense. Let's say you guys already own a home already.
It could actually be on purchase too, though.
On the purchase of the house?
It could be on a purchase or on a refinance.
Oh, wow.
That's what's so cool about it, yeah.
So what you're saying is I could be in the middle of purchasing a house and then go and
like
get
a construction
qualified.
loan. You submit the plan while we do it.
Wow, okay. So if you guys have
I knew you'd like that.
If you guys have a nice sized piece of land on the home that you already have or you're purchasing, what you could do is Paul is talking about how you could get another loan to add an ADU, which is kind of like casita in the backyard. And what is that? That's potentially more income for you, which is nice.
Or have a family member or somebody live there.
Yeah, that as well. Have your family member live in there. But I mean, yeah, as investors, we're thinking of it as, oh, wow, Airbnb, rent this out. But yeah, of course, if you don't really want to go down that route, have family members, but live in there.
I always hate these TikTok trends or these viral trends where they say something that's total misinformation and then you click on it and it still doesn't give you the information. And that's why it's ticking me off this one because I've seen probably 20 videos on this and I swear Instagram is just targeting me at this point because I'm getting annoyed because all it says is no payments for 12 months, ask me how, which they're all full of it. They really don't have payments, but they're rolled into the loan, right?
Yeah.
So that's the negative. You are paying it at the end, but that's not what the TikTok or the Instagram is saying, where it's I try hard to be very transparent. I'll definitely put some good stuff out there, but if you click the post or something, it's going to give you the rest of the information. I'm not just selling you rainbows and sunshine. We want to give you the facts and the meat and the potatoes to make an educated decision. So really what this is though, because it really is still super cool. It's just, you need to know the whole picture. So the way it works is you can get a regular FHA loan, which is only 3.5% down.
Yeah.
And a 203K loan will allow for pretty much up to about 50% of the total first mortgage. So let's say it's not an algorithm exactly, but the way I've put them together, that seems to be the width of it. That's as far as you can push it. So let's say we're doing a $300,000 purchase and we want to add a $150,000 ADU to the house on purchase. That's the way I actually did the one I'm doing. So it was a purchase. So they still only need 3.5% of the total acquisition price. So if the total price is $450,000, they still only need 3.5% of that. So only $13,000, and we're building a $150,000 accessory dwelling unit for them to rent out. And he's actually building a little apartment. It is going to be an apartment for a rental. It's a single guy who's doing it solely for investment purposes. And he's even going to rent out the other one too. So it's going to be he's getting 2 units basically.
Okay.
And they're both going to be pretty much new because he's going to remodel both of them with this 203K loan. No payments on that loan for 12 months. That is correct. But at the end of 12 months, all those payments are rolled into the loan for the final price, interest only up into that point. So you only pay interest only on the $300K at first, and then the $150 as we're going and as we're taking draws, that interest would increase based on the draw amount each month, because we're only going to need maybe $20K month 1, $30K month 2, $40K. You know what I mean? As production goes.
Yeah, as production goes, you build the ADU, pull out $20K, $30K next
Contractor
month,
does the work. I mean, it's really like a freaking construction loan, but you only need 3.5% down. And as long as the property does have to be zoned for 2 units, obviously, so it doesn't handle switching zoning. The house has to be already zoned for it. But it's pretty freaking cool, and no payments to top it off.
No payments for 12 months, guys. You heard that.
And you could do that as a regular 203K, which a lot of people don't know, and I don't know if we've done one yet. But a regular 203K now they've kind of extended that to where we can do those even a lot further now. Where I was capped out at 35K, and now I'm not capped. So I can actually do a regular FHA 203K loan now up to $100,000, and they could just get everything brand new in a house. With inventory kind of being loud, and a lot of houses sitting that are older, this is a great idea for some of those homes. You see these homes where maybe they're just super dated, right? This house probably needs to be bulldozed, but it's livable. You know,
Yeah,
it looks good, but it's livable. Perfect 203K loan. Go in there. We can make everything brand new. They can't move in. So that's it. That's the reason why it's interest only until we close is they can't have occupancy until we get them clear that everything, all the work's been done. That's a safety and hazard issue with
But it's only occupancy on the ADU, not the house itself, right?
If you
like, they could close on their home, live in the house. Like, let's say I get
in
someone
theory
who
they're
lives
not
in their
supposed
home.
to. So on this podcast, for podcast reasons, I'm going to say you're not supposed to. But I don't know how we would know if they did.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like you're not supposed to. That's why there's no interest because you're not supposed to live there.
That's what live in the house. The whole.
Yeah. I don't know how they would check if you like. There's not anyone that's going to probably go check because you're only really looking at the ADU if all you're doing is the ADU.
Yeah, that's a really interesting opportunity for like realtors out there who recently closed on like a home that's FHA. They go back out to the buyers and just be like, hey, you guys want to build this ADU right here? We can get you qualified, add it to your loan. That's cool.
The other big thing that a lot of people complain about on MFA, getting back to MFA, because I know we wanted to talk about specifically first-time home buyers today, is the income qualification. Everyone's like, oh, you have to make a little bit of money, blah, blah, blah. You can make $105,000 a year. That's the max for the MFA that gives you the 10 grand.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. So a lot of people think that, like you were saying, the qualifications thing, there's only the 3 qualifications. You can't have an ownership in a house for the 3 years.
Okay.
Have to have a 620 credit score and have to make under 105 grand. Those are the only 3 negatives. Besides that, you have to qualify, like can't have too much debt, all the normal things, can't have judgments.
Yeah.
But besides, those are the only 3 major things. So I'd say 90% of people that apply for that already make under 105, but they're worried they're going to make too much.
No, I hear you like loud and clear and also like talking about income limits and stuff like that for the MFA. And like another question too is going to be like, let's say I make $40,000 a year, but my partner makes another $45,000 a year. Can we combine our income to be able to purchase a house, or do I have to keep that by myself? Like, what's going on there?
Chris, you probably already get asked this question as much as I do. It's probably the most commonly questioned.
Yeah,
Everybody always thinks you have to be married.
Question, I get asked this question all the time. Like, hey, I only make this much, but could I add my spouse, partner? I don't know who it could be, but could I add this person to my loan because they make this, that, and third? And I'm like, yeah, you can. Like, if they're going to be living in the home with you, yeah, add them. You want as much income as you can to be able to get that qualification number that you want to buy the house that you want.
No, that makes total sense. I think that I get asked that more times than I want. For some reason, everyone thinks you have to be married. And any 2 people can buy a house. You and I can buy a house together. We don't even got to identify our relationship. Like, any 2 people can buy a house. Any 2 people. Friends could buy a house.
Yep.
Jim and Bob can buy a house. The only loan that gets iffy on is VA. You have to be married for a VA loan, and it's because it's a veteran benefit. So
okay, but also you have to be a veteran. Now, what about the USDA? Do you got to... Is it because the USDA is kind of
USDA is a government loan like FHA, so it'll fall under it'll fall under the similar, very very similar guidelines. The reason we don't do a lot of USDA loans, even though it is a good loan because it's 100% financing, is their debt to income ratio is super low.
Yeah.
So their max ratio limit is 43, where MFA even goes to 50 and FHA goes to 57. So 43 is usually pretty low, and it's mostly for rural New Mexico. So if you're in like Belen, Bernalillo, Edgewood, some of those outskirts of Albuquerque would work for your market. But that's mostly where the USDA. There's a little bit in Los Lunas, a few spots into Harris. So there are some areas in other areas where it would count, but mostly it's pretty rural. And it's 100% financing, no MI. So that's the cool part is there's no mortgage insurance on a USDA loan.
Okay.
Just a little harder to qualify.
And for some, like, just for a quick educational purposes, for people who've never bought a home or wondering like what Paul was even talking about having a 43% DTI or a 50% DTI. That DTI is going to be your debt to income ratio. So with the USDA, they use 43% of your income to qualify in a home. But if you were to go FHA, MFA, or even conventional, they go all the way up to 50% of your income. And that difference makes a huge impact on how much money you could qualify for on a home. Makes a huge difference.
Tens of thousands. Yeah. I mean, 7% is probably a $50,000 to $75,000 for an average person.
Yeah. So I mean, like, just for an example to you, like, let's say you make $10,000 a month, you're living good, no type of debits to your name, you don't have no bills other than like your utilities and rents. Out of that $10,000, if you were to go FHA, they would qualify you based off of that $5,000. But if you were to go the USDA route, then they would qualify you off of the 43%, which is $4,300 from that 10,000. So that makes a huge difference on like where your monthly payments and what the bank will even allow you to purchase.
No, you're correct. There's one other really cool MFA program we didn't talk about, and I forget the exact name about it. It's the certain certain areas where they qualify for those. Not red line. I don't know what the stupid word is. There's a word for it. You haven't looked into that with the houses where they're in an area, they get a better rate. They don't even have to be a first time home buyer, but there's only like 5 houses at any given moment that qualify for it.
No,
you haven't. It's pretty cool. I'll have to get the information and send you the website on it because I actually have only done one, and one of my girls just got one the other day, and I totally blew my mind because it makes the rate a little bit better, and they don't have to be a first-time home buyer, and they still get the MFA program.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
it's kind of new. It's kind of new. It's a little loop. It's not new. It's just there's only very limited houses. It's like it's in these little clusters of tracks, and it's like a 4 blocks by 4 blocks, and there's only like 10 in the city.
Yeah. So let's just sum up a little bit of like what we've even talked about in this podcast, guys. So as you're a first-time home buyer, you feel like you're priced out the market and there's nothing you could do. Don't worry about, so we talked about your credit score. You need a minimum 620 credit score. But even if you feel like it's below that, like still, there's a link in my bio in the description below. Go ahead and press that. If you like want to get started, like get started. It doesn't matter what your credit score is. We have tons of programs to help build that credit up to get to where you need to be. And more times than not, a lot of people don't realize there's just a few things that you need to do to get yourself up to that 620. We've talked about the income limit, the limits. You need to have a...
I would also say a lot of times people think the application process is overwhelming.
Oh, no.
So,
that thing takes like 10 minutes. Dude.
Yeah, everybody that we talk...
Time.
Yeah, you talk... I mean, you literally send it out and probably get more apps than anybody, but... I think you do a good job saying it's really easy, guys. It's like, have you applied for a credit card? Have you applied for a library membership? It's the same name, date of birth, social, where your job is, and it's literally on an app on your phone. So it takes on average 10 minutes. We run your credit within 30. So it actually is super simple.
Yeah,
that's why I would say don't get overwhelmed with the process, guys. I promise it is way easier than you're imagining.
Yeah, like I said in the description below, once you hit that link, it's going to be in my link tree. And there's going to be a button there too, get pre-qualified now. And you're going to see how easy the application really is. It takes about 10 minutes of your time. If you have a partner, both of you guys would fill that out together, submit it. And then that will give you an idea of like where you even stand. Because what I like to tell first-time home buyers too right off the bat is I like to get them qualified right away because I like to get you guys qualified right away because that gives you and I an idea of like what homes, like what range of homes that we should even be looking at moving forward with each other. Because if you're not qualified, then we're kind of just running on hopes and dreams right here, and we don't know like there's
or
no
for
numbers.
The right amount. Sometimes we sit there and people are looking at Zillow, and Zillow says their $350,000 house is $1,800. Guys, there's a lot of fine print on Zillow, a lot of fine print. So if you look at their calculator, they always illustrate it on a conventional loan with 20% down. So if you're doing an MFA loan with 0% down, your payment is going to be $500 higher. Because I get asked that so many times when we get a person saying, "Oh, I got this $300,000 house. Zillow says my payment's only $1,700." I'm like, "Let me see the website." No,
like
30% down. Estimating you're buying down the rate 4 points to a 2.99. So just be careful getting your information from online, just because they are trying to sell you. So a lot of times in trying to sell you, they're giving you some. They are giving you accurate information, but it's just very unrealistic for the average person to put that much down or have that good a credit, because it's usually like a perfect scenario. Like a 760 FICO with 30% down is probably what's commonly illustrated on Zillow that I see. 30 or 20, depending on the loan amount.
Yeah, I mean, I see that too all the time because I'm on Zillow too a lot, just looking at homes. And
the estimated payment is always so low.
It's like there. It's like, no, that's not true.
It's not
if
true.
you have 20% down, then that's for you. But more times than not, that estimated payment is going to be incorrect unless you have what you need to have in order to get to that payment. Now, a question for you I get this a lot. It's going to be like a little bit of a scenario, kind of like an example of what someone is making right now in today's society. And they kind of just want to know, like, if they can make this, how much home can they afford? So, like, let's say
you do get asked that a lot. You've asked me that.
Yeah, so let's say this. I live in New Mexico. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I make $44 an hour. How much home could I afford? Like, what would be my pre-qualification amount? And And let's say I work full time, so on average full time is going to be like 130 hours a month. 120 was it? 120? Yeah. So let's say I work full time. I make $44 a month. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. How much can I make? And that's with me not having any debit, credit, or like bills added to my name.
How much house can you buy?
Yeah, so like what, like on average, like what type of home should I be looking at?
You're at 44 an hour. You would roughly be grossing about $7,500 a month, assuming you're not working overtime, which that's a pretty decent living. Obviously, 44 an hour.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. But with that, I would say that leaves you about $3,500 a month in a payment. A $3,500 payment's a pretty big house. You'd probably be able to get, I would say, right around $500K, right in that range, maybe $450 to $500. So you'd be able to get a pretty nice house, assuming you don't have any other debts or anything else, relatively easy.
Okay, which is like, so that gives you guys an idea of like how much you could afford if you were to make only $44 an hour. But for example, Paul just said on average, that means you make $7,500 a month, right?
Correct.
On that $44, and that brings you down to your 35.
$3,500 a month.
Yeah, $3,500 a month.
DTI.
Max,
$3,500 DTI.
Yeah,
So
max,
50%.
Yeah,
That's
50%. So $3,500 max is like what your monthly budget could be on a mortgage. Now, let's say you have like a $500 car note added to that, and you have like $200 a month in credit cards. Like that, $3,500 will drop you down to like around like $2,800 a month at max you could pay on a house.
And that dropped you down about $120,000 on
Yes, that drastically changes the amount of home that you go for.
Just one car. That's just one car and one credit card. So $700.
Yeah, and that's like average. I see that all the time. Like people have
$900 cars are killer.
Yeah,
when these guys come up with these $980 trucks, guys, I promise you either want a truck more than your house or you got to get something more efficient. Because if you, and I'm probably speaking to somebody here and someone's mom's going to thank us.
Yeah.
If you have a $980 car payment and you don't own a house, you're probably being irresponsible with your money. Let's be honest, because that's a hefty car payment, man. I see a lot of the young guys too, even some young girls, where it's just mostly young guys though, you know, in the big trucks or the Corvette or something crazy. And then I'm like, dude, you don't even own a home and you got a $1,000 car payment and you're renting and you live in either in a condo or a very small apartment and they have $1,000 car. I'm like, man, you don't understand money at all. Like you're looking rich, but you're not actually rich. Yeah, you're trying to pose the role.
Starts with the house. And every time, there's been more times than not, I've gotten people who've gotten qualified and they have 3 car notes added to their name, totaling up to like $1,500 a month they're paying car bills. Like that really does hurt you guys. So if you want to start the process and getting to a home, I highly recommend you buy that home first before you get the car, because once you buy the home, you're at least set. You're in the home of what it may not be the home that you dream of, but it's definitely going to be better than buying a $250,000 house and be able to qualify for a $350,000 house because you didn't buy that car first.
But we house hack those cars all the time. So remember, I think we even had a guy that had a $900 one and his mom put it under and took over the truck. So don't worry, we can house hack your car payment. So don't worry, if you do have a car payment, we'll help you figure out a way to get it to work around it, and hopefully there is some workarounds for it. But
there is workarounds usually, but from what I'm saying, like
if you cannot do it, that would be the best.
Better.
Yeah, that would be the best way to.
The better way.
We're talking proper English today, guys.
Okay, guys. So, I mean, we've talked about like what you need to qualify for the Mexico MFA. Now, I also want to talk to you a little bit about like new construction, because you mentioned to me that you do work with a few builders.
Yeah.
And like if you're able to pretty much match what other builders are.
D.R. Horton and Higgs right now, we're currently approved to work with both of them.
Incentives.
So we could still give them the new customer incentive and still add ours on top. Like they can get the full, like from DR, they can get the full 20 grand plus still get rate rebound and everything else we offer, plus get a better rate. I just had a deal where we were pricing out DHI. DHI was offering that 3-2-1 where it was a 599, 499, 399. So the first year was 399, but then they don't get anything else. So I was able to give that customer a 5.25% permanent interest rate forever with the same amount of money, and they were way happier. Because I don't know if we'll ever get to 5.25% again in the next 10 years. So they were thrilled. We just used that same 20 grand and used it all towards buy down now. Yeah. Because we can use that money however we want. So that's the coolest part with new builds, which I know you like too, is they give you all this money and we can just get creative with it. We can use it to do temporary buy downs if they're going to be making money later. We can use it to make money, do buy downs now. We can use it to eliminate their closing costs. buy appliances, all the cool stuff we can do with the money they give us because right now it's pretty juicy out there with the new construction, man.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for example, as of today, out in Los Lunas, they have new construction homes starting at like 4.99% interest rates and even 3.99s that I'm seeing. And it's like, I think a lot of people are uneducated on like how big of a difference that can make on your monthly payments. Because like, let's say we get you qualified, you go with the New Mexico MFA or you go FHA. On average, like how much are they saving if they were to go the resale route, have an interest rate of 6.4% compared to having an interest rate of 3.99 on the same price house?
So the 399 is an intro rate. I think the 499 is a fixed rate. So I'm pretty sure the 399 might be permanent, but I'm pretty sure that's an intro rate for the one.
The only reason why I say 3.99 is because I just filmed this community out in Los Lunas, and they marked all their homes down to a fixed rate of 3.99 for the whole month.
Holy cow. Okay, so they're running a sick promo. Okay.
Yeah, it started today.
So that's pretty cool. Wasn't worried about that. So that's pretty big. So, and I know they had quite a few opens there. That's why. So if they're at 399 and today's rates are 6, that's a 2% difference. I think those houses are like 330, 340.
Yeah, so they're sitting around 330, and then
so 2% for every one. I have to run that on a calculator because that's going to be a really big difference, man.
I've done the math, and I'm like, on average, I'm seeing it's going to be like around a $600.
I was going to say it has to be at least $500 if I had to guess.
On their monthly payments.
It's substantial. That's why I was like, I'll have to double check. At 330, 570. So you're right on there.
Yeah. So like, if you were a first-time home buyer looking for like more of an affordable route, we also can help you with getting into a new construction home. And that's where like the USDA would come in if you were to go more out into like Berlin, Los Lunas. That'd be more beneficial out there. Or even in general, just having a better interest rate on your home compared to market rates will help you out tremendously on your mortgage payment. Because I feel like a lot of people, like a lot of someone who's looking to buy their first home, they don't understand like how big of a difference an interest rate is compared to just in general. They kind of come in saying that they want their monthly payment to be $1,800 a month, but don't understand
probably
like how
is our most
rates,
common number.
$1,800.
I get told $1,800 all the time.
Yeah,
$1,200 That's not even a pipe dream anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys come in, if your first question is you want to keep your monthly payments at $1,200, I've gotten that question so many times.
There's nothing in Albuquerque.
Yeah, it's not going to work. It's going to be. I've seen like the lowest
15
mortgage.
Maybe. I think we've had maybe a condo for 15. Something.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
if you wanted to go
15.
condo, yeah, condo
or something
route.
real small, 15.
But usually those HOA fees kind of get you.
Yeah, they get you. You're right.
Yeah, like $400, $500 a month on the condo
I would
fees.
say 18 is probably the lowest, really. 18
like
to 17, and that's
17,
like 200,000 to 225 ish. So, and we do them obviously, just not. There's not many of them anymore.
Yeah,
and everybody, here's what everyone always thinks is they're just going to keep going. They're going to come down. Guys, when has Tesla stock come down? Besides right now because of natural disasters? So I tell everyone the only way that's going to happen is if Russia all of a sudden bombs us, and it bombs New Mexico because we don't have inventory. We don't have enough houses for as many people live here. And especially with other people from richer states relocating here, we're not building enough houses. You can look at the build report and see how many houses are being built and how many people are relocating here. There's not enough people. So even if we do go through like a recession, we're not going to have enough. We're still going to move better than most markets because we don't have enough housing for people.
Yeah. Then, I mean, also on top of like what you just said, if home prices were to even drop, usually what that means is interest rates have risen tremendously. So it's kind of like, would you much rather
or the economy totally crashed?
Yeah, that too. And I'd be like, would you much rather buy a home at a $330,000 purchase price with a, I don't know, like 7% interest rate, or buy that same home $250,000 but have like a 9 to 10% interest rate? Like,
I realistically think that if they fell, it would never fall more than 5%.
You feel like that?
I promise you, if they did, I would eat my words. Like if our market, we've never lost more than 3.7. Even in 2008, when that whole crash happened, 3.7. That's our lowest depreciation on average in Albuquerque.
Crazy. I mean, I wasn't around during that.
Yeah,
I was around, but like I was.
And that's our worst one, dude. So it's like if you look at that's our worst one. I mean, come on. There's just not. Our housing market's still up and coming. We're still a young market compared to these established markets where people are relocating here from, like Phoenix, LA, all these nice markets where their houses are 2-3 times our value. They're coming here happily buying our $400,000 house.
Yeah, because they're like, oh wow,
That'd be $2 million over there. So they're
especially like in Rio Rancho and Los Lunas,
Yeah.
they go out there, they venture out, and oh wow, these
beautiful
like,
for the
believe it or
price.
not, we were actually in Mexico is an affordable state when it comes to housing compared to pretty much our surrounding
Everywhere
states.
else,
Yeah, everywhere else
Except
compared to
Texas. Texas is pretty affordable too.
can't beat the Texas market because I get a lot of
And there's no tax there.
comments and texts talking about Texas is way better. And I mean, yeah, you could go buy that $250,000 mansion, but I mean, you're gonna be
And
in the
no property tax.
buttfuck nowhere. But still, like, it's true. It's true, man. It's true. All right, guys. So, my name is Chris. You'll see all of our information right here on the screen if you'd like to get in contact with me. And then also, Paul, you have any final words you want to say?
Not at all, guys. Shoot me a follow at IG at Home Loan Superhero. Besides that, I'm always available. So hit my IG, or Chris will also have contact. And, I work with Chris directly. So if you guys have any questions, there's no such thing as a dumb question. I get asked the craziest questions all the time. I promise. Shoot me a text, give me a call. We both work Monday through Sunday, 9 to 9. So we're both working all the time. So never bothering, always working. Reach out and let's get you into a home.
Yes, sir. And I mean, if you guys go ahead and, I also got to tell you guys too, make sure you guys comment another question that you guys may have that we didn't even answer. And then also subscribe to the YouTube channel. In the description below, you'll see our link trees, and it'll talk to you more about like what's the next step moving forward. And if you just want to see on the marketplace too as well, just make sure you guys click the link inside of the description, and that's going to get you started to the next step in owning your first home or even your next dream home, depending where you are at. We are here to help.
Awesome.
See you in the next video.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.